Hello, everyone. Welcome to another live webinar by I Love Homeopathy. Uh, Today's speaker is Dr. Akhilesh Khan. He was a former administrator and the principal head of the postgraduate department of Organon of Medicine and the D&D Homeopathic Medical College Hospital in Kolkata. And now he is the professor emeritus of the AHMC College at Nagpur. He's authored two extremely popular books. One is The Scales of Homeopathic Pharmacy, and the second is Homeopathy for Mother and Child. Uh, Viewers, I'd like to welcome Dr. Akhilesh Khan and request him to start the webinar. Dr. Akhilesh?
Yes, namaste. Good evening, good morning, everybody. Today we'll discuss very important point, cure in advance, especially in respect to the pandemic diseases. Cure in advance, why I have chosen particular topic. From where I have got that particular topic. Actually, in aphorism number 56 footnote, Hahnemann told about the cured in advance. These were cured in advance. This will be discussed in later on. So, in this respect, that was used by Master Hahnemann as a past indefinite tense, but I here use as a present indefinite tense. Cure in advance. I traveled to our master, Samuel Hahnemann. Since I am an academic person, so I will try to give you some light in the tune of academy, in the tune of our text, Organon of Medicine, Friends of Health, and chronic disease. Because a student, he should know what takes place about the epidemic diseases, about the pandemic diseases, the control and treatment of epidemic diseases. Now, in this respect, I would like to quote from Hahnemann. As long as man have existed, they have been liable individually or collectively to diseases from physical or moral causes. In a rude state of nature, but few remedial agents are required. As a simple mode of living admitted to but few diseases with the civilization of mankind in a state. On the contrary, the occasions of disease and the necessity of medical aid increased equal proportion. Now today, we are in the peak of the civilization. We are in a such state that you can communicate to entire world from a palm by mobile. The medical science is also involved. We develop in too many respect, modern science is too many respect. In the tune of some mechanical procedures. Robotic surgery is now. Genetic engineering is now. Now, open heart surgery is being doing by surgical interferences. So, in this context, even today, we are facing lot of troubles for this ongoing epidemic and epidemic that is declared as pandemic. Now, since epidemic is the discussions, I would like to place a logic that homeopathy is the product of the epidemic diseases, but applicable in all diseases in all circumstances. Do you agree? I do not know how many of you are agree, but I have to support it. Some logical interpretations and logical explanations in this respect in support of my promises. The promises is that homeopathy is the product of epidemic disease, but applicable in all diseases, in all circumstances. My students, my viewers, as you know, a weaker dynamic affection is permanently extinguished by the stronger one in living organism. A weaker dynamic affection is permanently extinguished in the living organism by a stronger one. If the latter very similar, very similar to manifestation but differing in kind. So this is the main philosophy, this is the main principle on which he practices. Master Hahnemann in Organono Medicine, aphorism 26, he told, he said, and we study that, we taught our students that weaker dynamic affection is permanently extinguished in the living organism by a stronger one. On the latter is very differing in kind but very similar to the former administration. He gave three phenomena. Number one phenomena in the footnote, that the moral phenomena, these are not the example, these are the analogy. What is analogy says? It's a comparison in respect of two objects in respect of some similarities. These are weaker than no. The moral phenomena, as he stated here, these are the analogy. But what are the example where he cited? 46 aphorisms. Please go through the 46 aphorisms footnote. Wherein two similar diseases meet, all the disease phenomena as he observed in his practice, and he referred so many stalwarts. The phenomena is caused by smallpox, a virulent epidemic disease once ragging around the society. And he cited 11 examples, 9 of smallpox and 2 are measles and whooping cough. So this analogy, this example he established. Please slow slides. Examples. And another, you please come to the 103 aphorisms, the cure of the diseases, wherein we find that in the similar manner, the case taking of epidemic disease, he told about that in this way I discovered the Sora theory. So in order to 103 and 46, all the phenomena he observed in the epidemic disease. Therefore, my propositions, my submission that homeopathy is the product of the epidemic disease, the analogy examples as given, I think you will agree with me. Another thing I would like to say in this context, an appeal Master Hahnemann gave to the doctors. I salute to the doctors, nurses, also a good amount of Ayush medical officers are involved in the frontline area. For them, Master Hahnemann already stated in his Friends of Health, an appeal by your master, if under all circumstances written your courage, sympathy, compassionate feelings, and clear head of the state, not to be compensated by the princess, but conscious of your lofty destiny and rising superiors to ourselves, to dedicate ourselves in the welfare of the very lowest as well as the highest among the people, we become as it were angels of the God on earth. Really, that is happening today. Our government, that our doctors sincerely doing work in the society, our nurses doing nice work in the society, our ICE medical officers also doing nice works in the society frontline area in whatever post they are working, but they are working in a particular area or in their
Hello. I think he just lost the line there. I think the internet is pretty bad there for now. Yeah, he's back.
Hello.
Yes, now we can hear you, doctor. Just a while before we get your video.
What is the problem? What is the problem?
Yes, we got you now.
Okay, okay, okay. No, no, okay. Now, so with this appeal, I would like to start my lecture. I would like to start my lecture with the second aphorisms. That is the fourth aphorisms. The prevention is better than a pound of cure. He is likewise a preserver of health if he knows the things that derange the health and cause the disease and how to remove them from person's health. My viewers, as you know, in aphorism 3, Master Hahnemann has told about the knowledge of physician. In order to treat rationally and judiciously, he should have to possess some knowledge. If is conditional. But here in the aphorism 4, Hahnemann did not mention any if. He directly says that he is likewise a preserver of health. So we should have to know what are the things causes the disease and how to remove them persons in health. Persons in health, that is the community-based approach, not in a singular approach that we have to discuss. A physician has two roles. Number one is a hygienist or community health officer. Number two, therapeutician and clinical medicines. The hygienist or community health officer, preventive and social medicine and community medicine. Hygiene is the old term, as you know. So we have to evaluate the what sorts of hygienic measure we should take in a pandemic and what direction Hahnemann is given in the text. So that point our point of discussions. Hygiene sometimes
We've again lost Dr. Akhilesh Khan there. Sorry about that. He'll be joining us in a minute. He's just lost internet connection.
so it is better to use just present the slides. Huh?
Yeah,
Hello.
yeah, I'm there. Go ahead. Yes, doctor, go ahead.
Okay, please go on. Next. So next, therapeutics is always subordinate to hygiene. Yes, because in spite of giving medicines, we sometimes we find there is something hindrance in the causing the cure, hindrance in the process of cure. When the hygiene is corrected, and then the cure is happened. So that hygienic measures are to be provided in a proper way. Otherwise, we may not get any proper cure. So hygiene, it is not a topic of discussion today, but in the incidentally I am telling you that as a role of hygiene, a physician should know everything that may causes the disease, that may causes the process of cure, of the hindrance of process of cures. Now, subletter causa toliter effectus causa sine qua non. Subletter causa toliter effectus is a new term to us, and sine qua non is our popular term. The subletter causa toliter effectus means when the cause is removed, the disease effect is automatically removed. It is related to the hygiene. It is related to the hindrances as caused by different agents or different measures. So if we remove it, sometimes medicine is not required. Simply remove it and then you can get effect. At least the patient will get rid of his troubles. And causa sine qua non is known, the scissor effector scissors, which on we rely upon. Which on we rely upon the causa sine qua non. It is only the guide to selection of the remedy, to know the chronology of the disease. Everything is dependent on this causa sine qua non. That means indispensable cause of the disease. The indispensable cause of the disease is the fundamental cause, is the miasmatic cause. And that miasmatic cause is known by its effects. Similarly, a medicine is known by its effects. We do not have any such parameter by which you can recognize the disease, only by sine qua non and only by remove that cause. Now, every time you should know the epidemiology of the disease. Now, epidemiology of the disease in this epidemic, in this pandemic is not clear to us. Whether Master Hahnemann has given any direction in this regard in Organon or everywhere? No, not such clear direction was given in respect to the modern, as because the epidemiology was developed later on in the last century. The first 1850 epidemiological society was formed, but Master Hahnemann has told in details about the epidemiology, details about the prevention of epidemic disease in before the publications of the Organon of Medicine in Friends of Health in 1792. So before the 1850 epidemiology concept came in the earth, Master Hahnemann gave a details about it in the Friends of Health. I will come. Now the question is that who is a physician? Master Hahnemann here in the aphorism number 1, he stated the physician high and only mission. Aphorism number 3, physician high and only mission. And aphorism 4, physician high and mission. High mission. Hahnemann actually wrote this book for the physicians. Who is a physician? Physician means who have been admitted in regular course, recognized by a country, pursued the course and got a registration number. He is a registered physician. So Hahnemann knew that a physician knew everything about the hygienic measures. So therefore he did not mention anything in clear form in the Organon of Medicines about the epidemiology or about anything required for the purpose of prevention of diseases in details, because the physician knew everything. It got some interpretations. Now my students, the epidemiology, the basic difference of the epidemiology and clinical medicine you should know. What is the approach of the epidemiology? What is the object of the epidemiology? The distributed magnitude of the health disease problem in human populations. And please keep it in mind, the infectious disease epidemiology is the fundamental thing of all epidemiology of all disease, whether it is contagious or non-contagious, communicable or non-communicable disease. The identity of etiological factors, the essential planning and implementation, prevention and control of the disease. So this is the object of the epidemiology. Every homeopathic doctor knows that one, because from the knowledge of community medicine, this is there in this syllabus, and they should know in order to treat this epidemic. Otherwise, you will fail it. Otherwise, by only clinical medicine, we can't treat it. So epidemiology is a very important factor in the modern science. Master Hahnemann is the pioneer to develop the epidemiology in 1792 by the publication of his lesser writing, The Friends of Health, wherein he has given the details. I will come to the details about it, the epidemiology of diseases. Next, we know the epidemiological tract. The host factor, environment factor and the agent factor. The environment, this is a very popular fact. In a disease, in a epidemiology, these three things are required. I think you need not we need not discuss in details about this. However, I will try to give a aspect of the environmental aspect, agent and host. The epidemiological fact by which you can every disease has two aspects to genesis. That is the pathogenesis phase, and the other is the pre-pathogenesis phase. We are all in pre-pathogenesis phase. That is the popular proverb, the man in midst of disease, man exposed to the risk of disease. We are all in pre-pathogenesis phase of the disease of epidemic. Another, the pre-pathogenesis phase, before entry of the organism, before entry of the agent that required to be prevented, which I have told, that the disease, the agent which causes the disease and how to prevent it in aphorism 4, what he told. So we are in pre-pathogenesis state, and we are, because of that, we are all in pre-pathogenesis phase, and that in these states we have a lot of scope to treat the diseases, to treat that by the way of our individualistic treatment. Other is the pathogenesis state. Pathogenesis phase, after the entry of disease agent. Host reaction with disease agent cannot be predictable, because sometimes we are seeing that some cases are positive but no symptom, some cases are acute, some cases are subacute. So that cannot be predicted. So that entry of the organisms after the stages, that is the pre-pathogenesis stage. We have a lot of do to this pathogenesis phase. Even COVID-19 cases, COVID-19 positive with a symptom, pathognomic symptom of the COVID-19, with the asymptomatic but pathologically report is positive, that can be done. So pathogenesis phase. Obviously, pathological report is positive, then obviously the organism has been injured. Now in this phase, what are the role of the host? As we know, the role of the host is very vital over here, because we are already in pre-pathogenesis state. That vital here, the question of susceptibility comes here, question of our constitution comes in. The question, it is just I am discussing the general things in context to the epidemiology of any diseases. So epidemiology of homeopathy and epidemiology of allopathy do not differ. The basic thing is same. But homeopathy has some special thing, which is introduced by Mr. Henneman, Friends of Health. And though this modern epidemiology is based on Friends of Health, we can claim that. The World Health Organization stating that epidemiology of the infectious disease today, that was told by Master Henneman in 1792 by his master, that is by Friends of Health. The host factor is very much important. How much you are susceptible. How many are susceptible to the particular influences? The susceptibility, the genetic configuration, the age, everything is very important for the host. Because some age they are vulnerable to the diseases, the condition in which condition is patient in line, some are non-vulnerable. So therefore, World Health Organization has given guidelines. We have to follow them in respect to the epidemiology. But in addition to our, and other is the environment. Environment is a very important factor, because physical, biological, psychological environment, all are a thing. Man today is a mutant agent of his own. The physical environments, the pollutions. It is the predominating factors, predisposing factors are so many, triggering so many respiratory diseases. So many respiratory diseases. The biological, the virus, morphologically changed virus, bacteria are continuously with that. Even the rodents are continually we are fighting. They are also fighting for struggle for existence and producing different types of viruses. And we are also trying to. There is an equilibrium between that, animals and man. And there is an equilibrium, inequilibriumity. So the psychological factor is very much important. The economical factors, social factors are very much important. So environmental factors is very much important. Now, in this respect, we should discuss
I think we seem to have lost him again. He's having a pretty bad internet connection, or the rains of ruining the internet connection over there, I think. Yeah, he should be joining us now. So I hope you're enjoying the webinar till now. Good now, doctor.
can you hear me?
Yes, please go ahead.
Okay. So the epidemiology as per the modern, just I have discussed today, a brief thought of this in respect of any diseases, especially in reference to the epidemic diseases. Now, what is the meaning of the clinical medicines? The clinical medicine is nothing but a therapeutics. Nothing but a therapeutics. The diagnosis of the disease and application of the medicine in relation to the action of the medicines. That means if he clearly perceives what is to be cured in diseases, the knowledge of disease indication, and if he also knows what is curative in medicine and how to apply knowledge of medicinal knowledge to disease knowledge. So everything is required for the purpose of this. Now, next slide. Now the role of the statistician of the epidemiologist is very much important in epidemiology. Because of that today we are facing lot of troubles in order to get improper statistics from different corners of the country, even different corners of the different states of our nation and different countries, also the World Health Organization. So role of statistics is very important. Now what are the methods of public health? It is also to be important for us. The community medicine, preventive medicine and social medicines. And public health based on etiology and prevention and communicable disease, that is only by immunization though. The modern medicine, because their community medicine books is written by them. We need some another community medicine in addition to that, because homeopathy has some special things which is written in organ and chronic disease. So their approach to prevent the disease, public health Based on etiology, we can agree with them and we can follow it because sometimes the public health is very much important measure in order to cure even in homeopathic diseases. But we do not whether will support their immunization. That is, but sociology, social medicine is concerned. We are very much supporting these social medicines. Now the infectious disease epidemiology. The infectious disease epidemiology, just you have understand something about this COVID. The source of reservoir, one time it was apprehended that is coming from the some animals. That is the main source at one. Now the mode of transmission, animal to man. Now in my country, what is happening? The source of reservoirs, the source of reservoirs is a man, affected persons, those who came from the outside. And the mode of transmission, it is not clear. Some people are saying that it is aerosol. Some people are saying that some media. And obviously they have considered it is a contagious disease. Now the approach, the mode of transmission, still it is not clear to us. But it is clear that man to man. So source of reservoir should be identified. Where the source of reservoir? Who is the source of reservoir? The affected persons. The affected persons. The mode of transmission by contact, by touch, by aerosol, whatever might be it, that should be controlled. And the susceptible host, we are all susceptible to the exposures. Because we do not know the susceptibility, sometimes it overrules. Now, the prevention and control of epidemic disease, you should know. Next one. The prevention and control, the reservoir. The reservoir should be quarantined. Reservoir should be isolated. Will you support this? Yes, we support it because Hahnemann in Friends of Health clearly stated about this. Very fine thing he has stated in there so many articles in the Friends of Health. How to make the quarantine will come. And interruption of transmission, breaking of the chain is very much important. Therefore, isolation, and quarantine, it is very much essential. Only the object of transmission is to breaking of chain here to the susceptible host. And susceptible host, in order to get infection, exposures, we should keep him in an isolated way. Therefore, the lockdown, therefore, all the advisories, all the government orders in prevail today in order to keep away. There is nothing at present now that can prevented by the way of immunization as per their job, but we have that will come into discussions. Now this is the epidemiology. Now what are the causes of disease in homeopathy? Causes of disease in homeopathy, as you know, the causes are exciting cause. Exciting cause are of two types. Exciting cause, one is manifest exciting cause, that is visible, perceptible, and that is removable. That manifest exciting cause never produces disease, it produces indisposition. This is a separate chapter I will not discuss today. On that point, it is a very critical discussion is needed in clear indisposition, because we have somebody of our students are very in confusion in this post context. Other is the exciting cause proper, which excites the fundamental mechanism that which causes the individual type of disease. Individual type of disease. Now, other is the fundamental cause. The fundamental cause produces chronic disease. Other two chronic diseases are, as you know, artificial chronic disease produced by non-homeopathic heroic drugs in long prolonged doses. That is a separate point of discussion. And other is the inappropriately named chronic disease. That is also separate. This maintaining cause, causa occasionalis, or fundamental, are not never produces disease. They promotes the disease and maintain the disease, but only the producer of the disease is the causa sine qua non, what I have told earlier. So the classification of the disease, if you come, as you students viewer, 72 has given a very beautiful translation, the man liable to be suffer on the clinical classification, because he was the first person to divide the classification of the disease in systematically and proper manner on the clinical bedside classification. The other classification was the systematic classification by etymological derivation. By naming of just pneumonia means inflammations of the air cells. Diarrhea means discharge. Rhea means discharge, stool discharge, diarrhea. This is the naming. Diabetes means typhoid, mellitus means sugar. This of the nomenclature. Even the nomenclature was by the inventor, Hunter's disease. Such type of nomenclature. Syphilis by sufferer. Syphilis was a shepherd who suffered first time in the 15th century, and therefore the name was given, the syphilis. So malaria was given by malaria. The deconstruction, what I am discussing today, that is before the introductions of the bacteriology concept. Bacteriology concept was introduced Master Hahnemann. Therefore, at that particular point of time, Hahnemann was very much justified. Now, next, homeopathic approach of prevention and control of epidemic disease are today our discussions. What text is? As per the text we should go. No one is authority. Somebody is claiming this is the medicine. Some group of teacher is claiming this is the medicine. Nobody got having any experience of treating the patient or COVID patient, because as per the stringent act, we do not allow. So there is paralysis. When the epidemic was broken at China, at that time, so many stalwarts declared that this is the epidemic, this is the genus epidemic, this is the genus epidemus. This is not our rule. This is not our rule. So epidemic, what text says, Hahnemann was the first to postulate a complete theory of susceptibility, infection, how such diseases may confuse human beings' defense mechanism, and orthodox was the first persons. He told about
Dr. Akhilesh seems to be having a real bad internet connection at this point of time. He's back.
what is the problem going on.
Yeah, you're back. You're back already. Go ahead, doctor.
Okay. Hahnemann was as a hygienist and dietitian. So in this context, I read to Richard Hill. He has given nice explanations about this. Hahnemann as hygienist.
It's
Hahnemann, please go. Go towards curious subject. Hello. Louis the pianist which differed in many ways
no, no, no.
counterparts. He did so no less degree of hygienist or dietist. My colleagues me no right to deal with the ennobling my mind. Hahnemann stated in Friends of Health, Volume 1, 1792. My calling gives me no right to deal me with ennobling my mind. My duties lie in pointing out the physical assets People hardly ever take the trouble to go in quest of it and hardly ever value it until they have lost it. So Hahnemann was a pioneer to develop the epidemiology for the prevention of epidemic disease in the Friends of Health. The picture of Friends of Health wherein bite of the dogs. He stated in Friends of Health that on the outbreak of epidemic, he wished to have the sick segregated from the healthy without compunction and if necessary with police compulsion. Yes, today we are seeing that with police compulsion. What Hahnemann told earlier in the 1792 and what we are seeing, what World Health Organization established in 1948, 7th April, World Health Day, and Hahnemann earlier told 100 years, 150 years back about that it needs police compulsion for that. Now, what idea he has given in the protection from infection disease in epidemic disease Friends of Health? For every kind of poisons, exhalation, there is an all probability antidote. We done not always enough about the latter because the poisons are very much not clear for us. Therefore, do not have an antidote at that point if he told. Because the virology concept was not there, not there. He told about the plans of eradicating a malignant fever, letter to the Minister of Police, that means the Home Minister now today. 7 directions he has given about the epidemic diseases. How to keep away from it. 7 directions he has given. Suggestions for prevention of epidemics in general, especially in towns, he has given. Very nicely he has given. The lady sick room visitors, an article. How to deal with the sick, how them allowed. He has given a very nice explanation of it. And precautionary measures for the physicians and all other health personnel. He clearly stated over there that the most vulnerable point is that sometimes or major portions of our physicians and health personnel would be affected. And so he made an appeal to them that how they behave, how the precautionary measures should be taken for them. They should not go in empty stomach, and even told it, empty stomach. That he should visiting the patient endeavor to maintain the mind and body good equilibrium. This is also such say in the during his occupation we must not permit ourselves to be acted upon debilitating emotions. These are the points he stated. Just I am stating, slightly slow. Don't visit in empty stomach. Old maxim to eat something for which had no appetite. In respect to the empty, please eat something for which had no appetite. All over fatigue of the body, chills and night watching should be avoided. These are the precautionary measures should be taken by a physician. Clearly written in Friends of Health. Now, there is a good proverb. How the prevention should be done. A ounce prevention is which pound of cure. How? How does this apply in homeopathy? What did Samuel Hahnemann have to say about the prevention of serious contagious disease? What is the original of a fast, safe, and effective system of prophylaxis? That is our discussions, and that is the point of questions. Even in India, that homeopathy has a great role. In lesser writing, Master Hahnemann, Dr. Richard Hell nicely says, who can deny that the perfect prevention of infection from his devastating scourge, the discovery of means of whereby the divine aim may be surely attained, would after infinite advantages over any mode of treatment be it of the most incomparable kinds ever, and the remedy capable of maintaining the health uninfectable by the miasm of scarlatina I was so fortunate as to discover. Now, my students, the miasm term, the miasm, it was a popular term during Hahnemanian time. Hahnemann was the new, not new. It was not new to introduce it. It was applicable during that time in medical parlance, the miasm disease producing agent. In acute disease, it is caused by acute miasm. Chronic disease, it is caused by chronic miasm. Now, artificial morbific agent. What is the nature of the artificial morbific agent? 31 aphorism, what stated? Partly psychical, partly physical. Partly psychical, partly physical. Psychical influences, even epidemic, that psychical influence is very much input to modify susceptibilities. Just Hahnemann said in the Friends of Health, in order to take the precaution for the physicians, please keep the mind in most equilibrium. Night watching, avoid night watching. So many directions he has given. Because he knows, because he experienced the psychical influences. So psychical influence is very much important, though partly psychical, to dispose to any things. And other is a physical. Physical, as you know, that virus will also come under the physical. Now that the condition for infection, the condition is the sufficiently disposed and susceptible to the attack that may be present. Sufficiently disposed. Two things are required. Only one thing, no. Two things are required. If you get exposures more and more, obviously, irrespective of susceptibility, the virulence of the organism is such, because the agent, it depends on the virulence. Agent virulence is very much important. Its virulence is such, sometimes the condition overruled, the susceptibility or constitution may overrule, it gets a susceptibility. You do not have any susceptibility towards to cold, negative susceptibility. But if you send to Siachen or any other places, Siberia, a certain point of time you will get exposure to it. Now the miasmatic causes of the collective diseases. The collective disease, already in classification as I have told, Hahnemann divided the acute disease into individual disease and collective disease. Collective disease again he divided into sporadic and epidemic. This division is made by him on the basis of clinical observation, on the basis of his clinical experiences. So miasmatic cause of the infectious disease is exciting cause and acute miasm in there, and fundamental cause is psora is behind it. Always psora is behind acute miasm. Always psora, as Hahnemann stated, the psora is. Now again I would like to discuss what we know about from the text about the homeopathic prevention of all diseases in respect of the contagious and non-contagious diseases. Antenatal, that is the protecting the posterity in advance. Protecting in the posterity in advance, 284 6th edition footnote. You please go through the 2 and 6th edition footnote. Though it is a pharmaconomy route of administration of the medicines, in this context is stated in a footnote. When he applied infant, wet mother, that psora, antisoric medicines, just in brief I am telling you that, and he stated there that producer of chronic disease which is given them hereditary destroying both within themselves and the fetus, thereby protecting posterity in adults. This is true of pregnant women. Thus treated, they have given birth to children usually more healthy and stronger. To the astonishment of everybody, a new confirmation of the great truth of the psora theory discovered, but it is left. It is left by Master Haniman. It is a legacy as given by him. We have to do research on this context. That antenatal, even in antenatal prevention, we can make by protecting the postulating posture at statin and 284. Now postnatal, after birth, immediately after birth, individualistic approach. Individualistic approach, first individualistic. If the patient get affection of any sorts of troubles and come to the homeopathy, first he should go to the individualistic approach. Constitutional treatment, another postnatal. After the individualistic, he will obviously take the help of the miasmatic constitutional treatment. And another prevention, as an academician, I should remember, I should mention you, then apology number 114 and footnote, the drug proving is a very good thing he has stated in apology 114 and footnote. Experience shows the purpose of proving them can be in main injurious to the health. Experience shows, on the contrary, that the organism of the prover becomes, by these frequent attacks on his health, all the more expert in repelling all external influence inimical to his frame. And all artificial, natural, morbidic, noxious agents, and becomes more harder to resist everything of an injurious character. By means of this moderate experiment on his own person with medicine, his health becomes more unalterable. He becomes more robust, as all experiences shows. 114 and footnote. So this approach of the prevention of any diseases, whether it is epidemic, whether it is the prevention. My discussion is prevention, the antenatal prevention, which is called the protecting the posterity, postnatal, after birth, and after by constitutional treatment till death. We may apply, and we will obviously get some results by drug proving, just as I told you. Now, Hahnemannian protocol for epidemic disease. Hahnemannian protocol for epidemic disease. By complete survey of morbid pictures, 100, 101, 103, 100, 101 and 102. He has given a direction of case taking. He has given direction of recordings, and he is giving what are the symptoms are to be emphasized or giving importance for the selection of the remedies. That is the approach. That is the main approach by which we can investigate the prophylactic medicine, the preventive medicine, and also the curative medicine for the unaffected persons of a particular area. This is the protocol. Apart from that, and we also stated in 56 footnote, the cured in advance, from where I have got this topic, and even told as past indefinite tense, I have stating as a past present indefinite tense. Cured in advance. When the isopathic medicine was developing, simultaneously homeopathy was developing. Hahnemann introduced the potentizations of drugs, and according to that, they also tried to apply the potentized medicines. Potentized medicines. 56, please go through the 56. You will find the 56. And the isopathic claiming, they are claiming that we are curing the disease. Hahnemann stated, when you have potentized it, differing kind changed. So it is nothing but the homeopathy. Similimum is opposed by homeopathy. Similimum is opposed by similimum. In this context, in the paragraph, it says that it is nothing but the theory nor advance. In many respects they differ, but the rapid course. So in this respect, Hahnemann has stated Moreover, in this way, undoubtedly, he said, we can raise our stock of medicine by introducing the no source. And even introduced only one no source in his lifetime. After that, so many authors, so many stalwarts introduced so many no source. Soraina was introduced by him. After that, so many authors introduced him. The cured in advance, the nosod, another approach protocol of treatment. And nosods might be isod and autosods. Isod means the similar manifestations, any other forms that can be given. And autosods means the patient's serums, patient's disease products can be potentized. Can be potentized. So here this is the two main approach protocol. Apart from that, another approach. Already I have told in my earlier slide, shows the earlier said the constitutional treatment. It is the acute disease. Would we start constitutional treatment at that position of treatment? No. Acute disease requires immediate treatment. Acute disease, which is such type of disease, which will not give you time to evaluate the myosomatic factors, because the disease phenomena is very quick, either death or recovery. So it is a rapid, more irregular, morbid process. So in these circumstances, we have to apply medicine by individualistic procedures, by 1, 0, 100, 101, and 102. In this connection, just we have to wait. Constitutional treatment only be possible if any patient is undergoing constitutional treatment of you, under you, any doctors, then the constitutional treatment is questioned. But in epidemic disease, what constitutional treatment you will do? Only by individualistic approach. Then you can give any antisoric, because all the acute myasm behind is a SORA. Without SORA, syphilis will not come. Without SORA, psychosis will not come. Somebody are telling these are the manifestations in the different phases of disease, pneumonia and structural tense. So syphilis should be given. No, the approach should be individualistic, and the SORA is in background, so antisoric. But first approach will be individualistic. If we go through the individualistic approach, so cure in advance will be possible. Cure only by these methods we can get the cure in advance. Homeopathic cure in antiseasm, precavation and prophylaxis. This is the two terms. I think these are very new to you. Homeopathic cure in antiseasm and precavation of the prophylaxis. These are very new term to you, I think. Hahnemann in appendix mentioned these terms. The mode of homeopathic cure in antiseasm, which is called precavation and prophylaxis, also appear possible in some other cases. For example, by carrying powder sulfur in your coughs, you are preserved from infection by itch and wool workers, and by taking the smallest possible dose of belladonna, we are protected from the now rare smooth scarlet fever of Sydenham. Hahnemann stated in appendix in context of the example of the cowpox and smallpox in appendix 172 paragraphs. The antiseasm, it is a new term to us. The precavation and prophylaxis. And he has given some examples of the homeopathic cure by non-homeopathic person that in vogue at that time. Strong wine can cure homeopathically. It is written in appendix. It is written that strong wine. Hahnemann has given so many examples of homeopathic cure by before homeopathy. And Hahnemann stated is nothing but it is homeopathy. Claimed it and try to establish the homeopathy by analogical and by giving some inductive logic. Strong wine in small doses cures homeopathically fevers of a purely inflammatory character. I do not know going to that. Some people are advising giving wine. This old school medicine apply that. And again he told about the camphor. The sensitiveness of the organism amounting to the most intense pain combined with the heat influenza is quickly removed by camphor, but only palliative. Hence, it does not. We always increase the repeated in order that its small gain mastery over the acute. This is also written in Camphor. And somebody of us are thinking about that. I do not know. Without seeing the patient's Camphor is, they got the idea from that old school of medicine. These were the homogeneous medicines. Homogeneous medicines were forbidden of old school because of that. After application, the disease condition aggravates. And even stated that old school never dreamed of minimum dose. Homeopathy before Hahnemann has given so many example introductions and appendix chapters of introductions, obviously. So these are the homeopathic cure by non-homeopathic persons. Now again I would like to quote whether it is a questions of the preventive medicine, whether Hahnemann supported general or not general. Now the question of vaccines. Question of vaccines or immunizations. Whether you will support it, whether Hahnemann supported it or not. Yes, Hahnemann did support it. Aphorism 46 footnote that disease is a cause in respect to the cowpox and smallpox. The generous universal applications of the cowpox, the present generation do not know the disease ragging around. And the disease broken out, half of the children of a city or town died or two-thirds died. But after the application of general universal vaccination, do not, the present generation do not know, we do not know today. Yes, he did support it. Obviously, 1796, two incidents to Renesha happened. One is homeopathy, other is the Jenner cowpox vaccine. And Jenner used this just like homeopathy. Hahnemann has given so many, it is nothing but the homeopathy. The mode of preparation is nothing but the no source, no source, no source. He supported it. Hahnemann also support him. Aphorism 46, he clearly stated that seems to be reason for this beneficial, remarkable fact, namely that since general distribution of Jenner's cowpox vaccine, human smallpox never again spread epidemically or virulently as 40-50 years before. In the 6th edition he wrote it, 40 to 50 years before, when one city visited lost at least one half and often 3/4 of the death. So when our text says he supported it. Next, universal vaccination in a 56 aphorisms in 6th edition, again he stated the universal vaccination put an end to all epidemics of that deadly fearful smallpox to such an extent that the present generation does not no longer possess a clear conception of the former frightful smallpox disease. So, but he again stated, but even granting this could be done, yet after all, saying that the virus is given to the patient highly potentized and consequently in an altered condition and cure is effected by similimum to similimum. And we have the approach of it. The virus, they apply it. Moreover, in this way, in the context of Nosod, he says, certainly disease peculiar to animals, may animals give us remedies and medicinal potencies similar important human diseases, and happily we will enlarge our stock of medicines. He stated in 5th editions. He gave emphasis more on the nosodes here. More on the nosodes. Hahnemann did confine himself entirely regulating the mode of life. However important to might have considered this, he rather thought possible to prevent outbreak of infection by medicinal treatment. By medicinal treatment. Best known medicine we know, scarlet fever in belladonna, purple fever in aconite, cholera, cuprum together with camphor, influenza for camphor. he recommended it in different literature considered as text. Now, our discussion, what we shall do in this crucial point of time. What is scope of immunology in homeopathy? Can produce immune bodies by individualistic treatment, by constitutional treatment? If you ask me question, I will reply yes. When you treat the patient or any acute disease, what do you see? The patient cured, get relief of it. Obviously, whether the parameters or the investigation is done or not, it is a question. Sometimes, sometimes it is also negative, but there is a symptoms. It also symptoms. Yes, it proves that when it cured, obviously some sorts of antigen or immune body is also formed. How to prove man is susceptible to epidemic? Yes, in epidemic, when you on the procedures, as already stated earlier, individualistic procedures, if you give the medicine to a patient, then the patient obviously, if he is sensitive, within after 3 days, 4 days, you will relieve, you will get some response. But if after 8 days, 7 days is not response, so give not response, so there is question of susceptibility and others. Next, how long time required? That cannot be said earlier. How long time required for the immunological homeopathic medicine immunity, that cannot be predicted. But what potency should give it? Commonly we apply 30 potency, that is a medium potency. Hahnemann applied in drug proving medium potency. Thereafter he said, and somebody telling us that the 50 millismol scale is also very much important for us, for the prevention, for the individualistic approach of prevention immunology of homeopathy to raise the immunity. Now the question is raising the immunity, raising the immunity, raising the immunity. We are considering some medicine for the raising the immunity and applying it. Now question is that how it has been selected, and I go to the discussion of that. And best medicine for immunization, if you say, ask me, that is the nosos. The best medicine now, the COVID-19 nosos. COVID-19 nosos. Otherwise, no. If any nosot, isotes that is similar manifestation, that can be applied. Autosot, yes. But the COVID-19 nosot is very much required for the purpose of prevention. That is the intention. I would like to give you informations that Hahnemann in 56 aphorisms. And in support of there are so many stalwarts that the nosot is very much important for us to prevent the disease as well as question of immunology. There are several research papers I can cite you, starting from the Hahnemann, the epidemic diseases. There are several research papers. Samuel Hahnemann, the cure of prevention, you well known, all of you know. The scarlet fever, 1719 during diseases. Scarlet fever and purpura miliaris, he wrote the article. Observation of scarlet fever, Samuel Hahnemann, cure and prevention of SIT cholera, wrote the article. These are the article, research paper, done by Master Hahnemann in himself. Now, after Hahnemann, so many persons came forward and gave some, just Charles Woodall, the facts about variolinum in American Institute of Homeopathy in 1907. Tyler Smith, poliomyelitis, British Homeopathic Journal, 1950, about the prevention of disease. Oscillococcinum 200C, Journal Clinical Pharmacology, epidemic in France. At that time, it was a very good medicine of sorts. Contribution of homeopathy to control of an outbreak of dengue in dengue in Brazil, International Journal of High Dilution Research. Also, this is the paper we have. Why I am telling the history? Because history is very much important for us to prevent of the epidemic disease. Even World Health Organization following their history. The China follows the history behind in back when the SARC and MARS was there. So history is every time required for the prevention of the epidemic disease. Because the history gives of the clue. The Winston Churchill says, more we go to the history, back to the history, we'll go to forwards. So following this proverb of Winston Churchill, I am giving the emphasis on encouraging our students and doctors, those who are doing this project, that this history is required for us, especially for the prevention of epidemic diseases. History is required for the treating of the chronic diseases, because history is very much important for our constitutional treatment. The history everywhere, even World Health Organization, giving history, giving history, how they have prevented so many other diseases. In this way, they are following. SARC, how many, and they are following the rule of SARC in today. Merino R. Epetorium perfoliatum dengue epidemic, International Journal of Hydration. Effect of individual, just 10 example, individual homeopathic treatment by influenza like illness, Indian Journal of Research in Homeopathy 2013. Influenza was treated. These are the journal which support us, by which you can claim. There are so many authors, so many writers. We have studied in your culture that who are close. What is his view? His view is the anamnesis and symptom, the individualistic and community at administering infinitesimal doses. But Robert says, similar remedy raises the susceptibility. What I have told you, the similar remedy, individualist treatment raises the susceptibility. Pierre Smith, higher potency immunity. Grimmer, Tyler, B.K. Sarkar. B.K. Sarkar, as you know, he was an allopath, converted homeopathy, who treated Ramakrishna Paramahansa Dev, you know, Ramakrishna, to whom we worship as a god, that Ramakrishna Dev was treated by B.K. Sarkar. B.K. Sarkar in his article said the constitutional remedy is the best protection of it against smallpox. So constitutional treatment is very much approach for us, and with individualistic procedures. So these are the authors and journals support us and encourages us to do in this approach. What are the approach of case taking in epidemic disease? Does it require in exhaustive manner acute disease case taking? No. Only the approach 100, 101, 102. And should be prejudiced? No, it should be unprejudiced. But we are all prejudiced now. Without attending patient, without saying COVID patient, we are telling this is the prophylaxis, this is the prophylaxis, this is the prophylaxis. It is contrary to academy. It is contrary to the text. And even very first aphorism 6 told that unprejudiced observer knows the futility of the transcendental speculations. And even in case taking stated that physicians should be unprejudiced observers. With this prejudiced observers, if he prejudiced that Arastax is that Brainia is the genus epidemicus, like that, so many things are coming out without it is theoretical, without visiting the beds, without attending the patient, COVID patients. Only individualistic is very important. So we should not be prejudiced. We should be unprejudiced. We should have the sound senses, sound knowledge should possess. Every case taking it is required, not only chronic, acute disease also. And we should fidelity in tracing the picture of the observation, picture of the tracing of the disease, and the acute in observations. Acute in observations. So we should not be unprejudiced. We should not prescribe old remedies, choice remedies, preference remedies. That this was epidemic. This is the new epidemic, new phenomena. So how can you consider that this medicine in epidemic? Is a prophylactic? No. Only you can claim by the no source. This is only you can support it. The no source is nothing else. Now what are the Hahnemannian direction in case taking? Without prejudiceness, case taking 100, Appraisal on how the portrait of the disease form. Appraisal 100 to examination of the episode by writing symptoms by so many patients, not a single patient, so many patients, by individual features of the patients. So this is the approach of treatment, approach of case taking. Now, how the selection of the remedy and acute diseases? Only by the individualistic approach, by uncommon peculiar characteristic symptom. Yes, uncommon peculiar symptom. In a particular affected area, there are 50 doctors. They are saying, doctor, all the cases, most of the cases on the basis I am giving bryonia. I am giving bryonia. X giving there. 50 doctors, the majority are giving bryonia. So bryonia has been chosen not by the general pathogenesis of the disease, but not by the general patient pathogenetic effect of the medicine, by individualistic features. They have chosen the bryonia, and the bryonia will be the preventive of that particular affected part, and it will be the curative of that affected persons. Preventive of the unaffected persons, the healthy persons. So this approach should be. Now what will happen? What do you see now? The topsy-turvy. Topsy-turvy is a very popular English term, English phrase. That means upside down. Some results already been given. So let it be proved whether it is effective or not. It is contrary to the academy. Being academician, you cannot, you cannot, you cannot, and not agree. Because what we teach, we should follow this one. We should follow this one. There are so many examples of no sorts in the prevention human literature. We know morbillinum, variolinum, influenzae, diphtherium, oscillococcinum influenza already I have stated. Pierre Smith has given so many preventive measures, preventive remedies, prophylactic against common diseases, common prophylactic remedies, various pioneers has given. I am going not to the details of it. Generalities chapter of the pocket book, preparatory prophylaxis, you will find it. There are so many prophylaxis. BCT program is a Japanese encephalitis, belladonna, especially Andhra Pradesh and others. That belladonna was not given earlier, like topsy-turvy. The patients were examined, evaluated, re-evaluated, case taking was done, therefore belladonna was selected. What we see the topsy-turvy, that something is given, not any research, you know, that I am going to research atom bomb. It has happened. That I am going to research a vaccine. No. Suddenly, Jenner discovered, accidentally discovered. So when this research approach is accidental, not incidental. Sometimes happens in incidental that today in practicing today. Now, the cure in advance. Now, in cure in advance, I'd like to cite some cases in order to support my cure in advance. Cases of epidemic viral conjunctivitis Joy Bangla. In my life, I saw it in the 70s at Calcutta. Irrespective of all persons, ministers, pedestrians, businessmen, students, all were affected by that particular disease. Viral conjunctivitis broken out at West Bengal and Bangladesh. At that time, the preventive was belladonna. Those who did not take homeopathy, they face a lot of troubles. In the same family, one member took belladonna, other member took another medicines. I do not other medicines, say for only the modern medicines. Who took belladonna, Only after appearance of the redness, the disease process stopped. In the same family, we saw that the other persons who was taking other medicines, he suffered even inflammation. He was so severe, different complications arises. So that belladonna, the disease process stops. If you any point of time, if you select any medicine or individualistic procedures, the disease process, that is the vital pathology. After entry of the organism, there is a certain pathogenesis phase of consisting two: the tail prodromal period, the incubation period, and the manifestation of the symptom. If during that time, if you select the medicines, I have experience on mom's case. Next case is my mom's. That epidemic is very popular. That epidemic Hotel Joy Banglo was popular at that time. In my lifetime, I saw in 70s. In mom's case, I observed personally a patient. I am not giving the details papers of the cases because the time is short. A patient, just I just don't like to name of the patient. It is a viral, high rise of temperature, body ache, sudden. Consulted with the homeopath Vishwanath Sengupta, my teacher. I used to attend his chamber. He gave Bryonia 200. Only 2 doses. After one day, the patient returned back and complained of swelling at the parotid region. Confidently, Dr. Sengupta told, please wait and give another dose of Bryonia. Only one dose you have taken. And after application of one dose, next day, next day evening, he returned back. The patient did not come. The patient party came, doctor, fever remission, and that process is checked by individualistic approach. So we have approach epidemic fever everywhere. So many cases, herpes zoster. Recently, the patient was at epidemic. This is a viral disease. I am not mentioning the COVID because till date, I did not see any COVID patient or exposure patient because we are not allowed. We are not allowed. Patients are directly as per the directions going to the COVID hospitals. Therefore, I am giving in order to cure in advance. That process can be stopped. The pathology may not be developed if the other conditions remain imperfectly. This patient, I do not like to disclose the name of the patient. He is a scientist of a renowned organization of the country, took admission at Antar Bharati Homeopathy Medical College. Director of Antar Bharati was treating him. I saw the case personally, physically. My selection was else. The patient was suffering from severe swelling of the face. The physiognomy was totally changed. He went to some official works in the other part of the country. Suddenly went back to Delhi. And he felt that I should go to my native place, Nagpur. And as he was very close to our director Bhauji, he took admission over there and treated by him. He gave only one phosphorus one dose. That swelling that failed to treat by some other medicines at Delhi or some homeopathic doctor at Delhi, only brain a total entire process stop and patients get relief. Yes, we have approach. We have lot of examples we can cite. Even you can cite that in your selection process by individualistic approach. In this pandemic, we have. Whether government allows or not allowing us, that is not the factor. I have told you, in the Friends of Health, that Hahnemann himself told that he will be the angel, God angel of this universe. Yes, you will be if you render your service sincerely to the patients. A doctor has two roles, I have told you. Our eyes doctors are deployed in the COVID area to spreading and to give advice. This is another part. But treatment, none are allowed. No allopathy, no homeopathy. That allopathy in confusion. Sometime one medicine, continually changing. Only the symptomatic treatment is going on. But homeopathy, as you have no scope to enter into the hospital and treat by homeopathy medicine, we are only up to that point. First job we are doing. Screening of the patient, advices of the patient, quarantine measures, what are to these foods are to be taken, they are giving. In the school health medical officers are giving. They are doing the first part. The first part is very much important for the second clinical part. I have told you, the hygiene is always therapeutics is subordinate. If the first part is not properly done, screening is not properly done, if the advice is not properly given, the infection will broken out. And ultimately the hospital will be crowded. So their role obviously needs salutation from all corners of the, even from the government, that Ayush is doing well. That first part. And second part, none are successful in this years. But we have lot of scopes. If we get, but we are not getting due to some act, rules and regulation of the governments. But there is a big but. A good number of patients are unaffected. Only certain percentage of populations are affected. 95% are not affected. Only 1%, 2% are affected. So for them we can do a lot of things. Homeopathy has lot to do. By the way of individualistic thinking, by the way of constitutional treatment. The seems to be affected. We can do a lot of things to the approach. We can save them. We can save them. Just I told you, by raising the immunity, by raising the so many things. I think time is at the end. So I'd like to conclude my lecture. Lecture. My students, my viewers, homeopathic medicine strengthens the organism so that it is most capable of defending itself. The defense mechanism can be traced. And without producing the side effects commonly. Immunizations, vaccinations, lot of vaccinosis, lot of side effects. And he did support, but afterwards, so many stalwarts gave so many examples of the side effects of the vaccinations, immunization. Even the modern medicine accepted. These are the side effects, these are the side effects in the by the way of vaccinosis. Always, we should give emphasis the treatment protocol as given by Master Hahnemann. Just I have stated in my lecture. Joy Hahnemann, joy homeopathy. Stay with homeopathy, live with homeopathy. Please behave like an empathetic manner. Be empathetic and sympathetic. Thank you to all of you.
Thank you, Dr. Akhilesh. It was a wonderful webinar with so much of information about the organon.
And friends of
Uh,
health.
yes, and it's amazing that all this was written so much, so many years
Before,
ago.
before World Health Organization.
Yes,
Before One Health Organization.
right.
We can say
So,
that modern medicine is following our homeopathy.
right. So I just want to ask, does anybody from the audience would like to ask Dr. Akhilesh anything? They can, type out in the chat. Oh yeah, we have Marilyn Friedman. Okay.
Any question?
Marilyn, no, it's just that the slides were moving. Yeah. What we can do, doctor, is we can take a PDF of this file of your PPT, and it can be shared with all the viewers. So they will have this with them, and they can refer to this anytime they want. I think we've lost him now. So I'd like to thank you all for staying here and watching this lovely webinar, and we hope to see you on Sunday, where we have Dr. Yogesh Malhotra, who will be joining us again. You'll have an email soon, and we hope to see you then again. Bye, everybody.